Welcome back into KCTV5 Plus. I'm Janae Hancock here with Sharon Chen now. Hey there, Sharon. How's it going?
Hi, Janae. I'm going great.
Yes, it's been some time since you've joined me right here on KCTV5 Plus. Welcome back.
Thank you.
And welcome into another edition of Behind the Story. This time we're focusing on the World Cup preparation right here in Kansas City. And you are focusing on how restaurants are getting ready for the big matches next year. Why did you decide to focus on this angle?
Well, when we talk about Kansas City being ready for the biggest event to ever come to our town, a large part of that are the fans coming here. And when the fans are here, they're going to be spending their money. What are they going to be spending their money on? Likely food, right? So talking about a crowd of about 650,000 soccer fans, that's what's estimated to flood into Kansas City here. So that's going to be a large influx into our restaurants. So are they ready? That's something that I wanted to dig into.
Well, without further ado, let's listen in.
It's one of the most watched sporting events in the world, the FIFA World Cup. And in just months, 6 matches take center stage in the heart of the heartland, Kansas City.
It's such a wonderful win for Kansas City.
In the Crossroads, it's Manny's Mexican restaurant winning the hearts of diners for 45 years and counting.
It's a story of love, and it's the love that my mother and father shared.
That love served up daily to Metro locals, but next year, Manny's is ready to welcome a global crowd.
Can we assimilate some common phrases in service in certain different languages? We are prepared to do things like that.
The preparation targets some 650,000 soccer fans, bringing a projected economic impact of $685 million. Restaurants will see between 60 and 90 million as fans pack into Kansas City dining rooms. So that means the prep work begins now.
There's like 5 regions they can come from in the world. There are 11 different languages.
That's Mike Burris, executive director of the Missouri Restaurant Association. He says the first step is getting past language barriers.
So we have about 50 phrases that it would take from greet and seat to the whole menu experience, all the way down to closing out the check and letting them go.
Restaurants must also adjust to cultural dining habits. For example, Europeans eat later. In Spain, dinner is between 9 and 11 p.m. And with dinner comes wine or other alcoholic beverages. Missouri recently passed a temporary liquor law to address this.
During the 30 days that the matches are actually in place, they can sell food and alcohol, but they can stay open for 23 hours. If they want to stay out till 5 o'clock in the morning, they can.
Europeans also pay in cash.
About 90 to 95% of the payments that we take here in restaurants is credit cards.
Something American workers aren't used to anymore.
It may sound kind of funny, but the first thing we started telling our restaurants is make sure that everyone knows how to give change.
Burris says restaurants will staff up, but he doesn't anticipate any worker shortages.
First thing they'll do is increase their staff, put their part-timers to work full-time if they want to.
And the new Serve Success program will give staffers an opportunity to level up.
So they would probably use this program more to train somebody they think has potential, and they give them supervisory training.
Our staff, we're ready to go.
Lopez says serving people is at the heart of Manny's.
We are very, very accustomed, knock on wood, we're very accustomed to handling big crowds.
And the World Cup crowd
We're excited.
will bring the biggest challenge yet.
And the excitement is really just building as we look ahead to 2026, the World Cup. Sharon, I love that piece. And something that I keep hearing as we continue to take a look at these World Cup stories is the first step is getting past those language barriers. Wow. Yeah. And I mean, you really take that into consideration. You have to, we don't know exactly who's going to be here just yet, but they're preparing for it regardless.
Yeah, and the work into it is super extensive too. I didn't realize how extensive it was until I dug into this story.
Yeah.
You heard Mike Burris there from the Restaurant Association. He said that they are preparing a worksheet
Yeah,
of
I saw
basically
that.
all these different phrases from getting the person into the restaurant, serving them, getting through their order process, bringing them the check, checking out, and getting them out the door. These servers are basically trying to pick up all these different phrases, not just phrases, but in 50 different languages, because we don't know exactly who is coming to Kansas City right now. We just know that it's basically narrowed down to 46 different countries. So you've got to prepare. And so they're really kind of preparing for the ultimate crowd to come here for this event.
Making sure that they're able to communicate with them and also making sure that they feel comfortable. And speaking of that, you also touched on cultural dining habits. I thought it was interesting that Spain dinner typically happens between 9 and 11 p.m. So are restaurants going to stay open, extending their hours, or what are they planning to do as far as that?
Yeah, that is something that is really interesting that we learned from doing this story too. Now we know that different cultures have different eating habits. And yes, Europeans tend to eat a lot later than Americans do. And basically they focus their mealtime on lunch. And so the later meals are like a lighter supper, as you might call it, but they are used to doing this. And so restaurants here, we typically close down about 10 o'clock or so.
Eat dinner around 5, 6 o'clock.
Right. Well, you got to think that they can't just extend their hours on that, because they also have liquor licenses that they have to deal with too. And for a lot of Europeans, dinner, it comes with wine or also alcoholic beverages. And so what the Restaurant Association did here was they went to the state and said, all right, we need to get a temporary liquor license established here so we can extend those hours of our restaurants. And so they did that. They did that and basically got a 30-day pass to open pretty much 23 hours a day so they can serve the European crowd.
And it's going to bring a lot of money into the city. We're going to touch on that economic impact in just a moment. But I think, Sharon, this also gives us a deeper appreciation for these other cultures as well, and how they live their lives. Now, going back to the economic impact, just how much money are we expecting for the World Cup to bring into Kansas City as far as the restaurants are concerned?
So when we spoke with the Missouri Restaurant Association, they said that we have heard economic impact to be about $685 million.
Wow.
Which is a lot. Now, that is different from what the Kansas City KC 2026, which is the organization that was kind of brought on to handle the World Cup. And they're telling us from Visit KC, that number is a little bit lower at $653 million. So no matter how you look at it, restaurants stand to gain millions here. And the Restaurant Association says, of that economic impact that we get, 60 to 90 million will be what the restaurants see in increase as far as profits for next year. So it is a big, big boost in business for sure.
That is huge because people have to eat, right?
Yes.
And they're going to be staying at hotels and Airbnbs. And after those matches, they're not going to want to go back to their Airbnb and cook. They're going to want to get something and maybe support these local businesses. So without a doubt, I know it's going to bring in a lot of money. And I know you also touched on just a certain group of people that pay cash when they go to restaurants and shops like that. So I want to focus on Manny's, the restaurant. Are they beefing up their staff right now, or do they feel like they're pretty ready to go?
So that's a good question. That is one that I asked too, because thinking for the larger crowd come in that they have to kind of step up staff. But I was told no, not actually, because as you look at it and think about it now, the restaurant industry is fluid as it is. So what they foresee doing is probably what they'll do is bump up their part-timers to full-time and go that route before they start hiring.
That makes
sense. They said they will see a bump in hiring, but it won't be as big as we think it will be.
That makes sense because now they can start training the people that they have part-time and full-time to get ready for the World Cup instead of bringing on new people halfway through. So that definitely makes sense. So what did you find to be the most interesting in speaking with the people that you did and just learning all the facts?
Oh, I think think it's so interesting, one, to learn about European culture, right? We already talked about the eating later at night, but also using cash, because we don't think about that. Here in America, we're just kind of used to kind of swiping our debit cards all over
Tapping
the
to
place.
pay,
Right.
yeah.
And that's how our restaurants and stores have been functioning here, is mostly dealing with cards. If you go to some places, they even tell you we don't take cash. So
Right.
now it's kind of they're switching gears, kind of turning the tables around to, okay, now we're going to have to start taking cash. And they said some of that training is going to be teaching people or making sure they know how to give back change, which sounds kind of funny, but really that's kind of, these are the basic lessons that they are making sure that their workers know now. And then the one thing that I thought was so interesting is that they were able to get a state law change just to accommodate this World Cup crowd.
Just for the World
Yeah.
Cup.
Yeah.
And I do think it's interesting as well, the cash piece of it. We do not pay with cash, never have cash on me, but I do think it's cool that these restaurants and these businesses are willing to switch it up to make sure, again, our visitors feel comfortable for the World Cup. Sharon, thank you so much for joining me here on KCTV5 Plus for Behind the Story. Your story will air later on tonight, but you can go to our website, kctv5.com, to read a little bit more about how Kansas City restaurants are preparing for the World Cup in 2026. Sharon, thank you again.
Sure.